That's the fun thing about ADD. You can just kind of play any chords in a row. Hi, I'm Pat McKenna. I live here in Toronto, Canada. I've been in several TV shows here in Canada. The Red Green Show ran for 15 years, and Traders ran for another 5. Remedy ran for 3. I was in that. Stargate, I did a couple of episodes down in the States for that. That was fun to do. But I live mostly up here in Canada and do the shows that are available to me up here.
This is the big one for a free wash and hot wax at Larry's Barber Shop. Uncle Red, you have 30 seconds to get Mr. Humphrey to say this word. 30 seconds and go.
You know, I got into acting when I was in high school. I did the school play, and then when people reacted and laughed, I went, well, that's positive reinforcement, isn't it? So I stayed with that because otherwise it wasn't very positive for me at high school. Real struggle for me with ADHD is in school because I didn't know I had it. So I was trying to be the class clown. I was trying to anything to be recognized in a positive way because I backed away from math. Math was just too overwhelming for me. I was never very good at that. People responded to me about my ADHD in different ways because they didn't really know it either. There was no name for it when I was growing up. Well, there was, but it just wasn't in our world. You know, so you got a lot of settle down, smarten up. When we get in there, don't fool around. A lot of those type of warnings, a lot of warnings to where you realize, well, my brothers aren't getting this warning. Well, come on, it's always me. Oh, I'm just sitting here quietly. What am I doing? But you realize, you know, half the time you're not sitting there quietly because I'm doing this half the time. I'm banging my legs, my head's rolling around. It's like, oh, okay, I see. I'm a bit of one of those guys out front of the used car salesman. I'm kind of like that. But I had some teachers that were very good, and one teacher in particular, when I was in grade 11, I was bombing in English and I was skipping out a lot, and he said, you're a really funny guy. Why don't you do the school play? And I went, no, that's like leotards and stuff like that. I'm not doing plays. No. And he goes, it's a lot of different kinds. You know, like my wife and I are going to go to Second City on Saturday night, and there's another student coming with us. Would you like to go? And I said, well, you know, I'd never been to Toronto. I was growing up in a small town, Hamilton. I was like, yeah, let's go. And I saw Martin Short that night and John Candy and all these people. And I went, oh, that's what I want to do. It's improvisation. You just make it up and people applaud. Oh my goodness, this is great. That's what I do all night in the park, and everybody laughs and I tell stories, and this is what I want to do. And that's what got me into like go to college and figure out how to be a hotel and restaurant, because I was too scared that anyone would ever hire me to be on that particular stage. That's where Martin Short stood. There's no way I'm going to stand on it. And 4 years later, I was standing on that stage with Mike Myers. And I truly remember looking around going, I shouldn't be here. Every day was, I shouldn't be here.
You only live once.
I got my diagnosis for ADD much later in life. I was in my 40s, actually. I was doing the Red Green Show, and one of the directors of the show, he was diagnosed with it, and he was talking about it. I said, man, that sounds so much like me. And he goes, it's probably everybody in this room, you know? And I go, yeah, and I just kind of dismissed it. And then he was going to do a documentary, and he asked me if I'd be the host of it. And I said, sure, okay, you know. But part of the show was that I get diagnosed on camera. And I thought, oh, okay, that'd be great, because getting a diagnosis is really hard to do. You know, it takes a long time. When I finally got the diagnosis, I was so relieved, you know, that I could actually say, this is why I'm making these choices. Because then I got into all the books and things and found out, you know, no, you're not stupid, lazy, or crazy. It's like, yes, that's what I was always worried about, you know, one of the 3 and more. But it was like, okay, this is a symptom that I can deal with. And that's, as I said, about getting ahead of it, not starting to recognize the triggers ahead of time instead of them leading me. It was an important time. And it was also a lot of shame and regret that people warned me about that came with it, because then you look back on your life of all the things that you did do, that you didn't take responsibility for, that you automatically blame somebody else. A lot of those things happen sometimes. Well, when I started talking about ADHD live, I had done stand-up for like 6 years, and I was a headlining stand-up throughout Canada and a little bit down in the States. So I had a show. But when I looked at my show, I realized most of it I was talking about my childhood and the trouble I got in. And I realized, well, that's the trouble I got in was because of my ADHD. So I took my stand-up show and I started to preface it with impulsivity created this scenario. And the scenario where I met my wife, actually, that's about skiing. So it's just like, she asked me to go skiing. I said, yes, let's go skiing. I never skied in my life. It was wonderful with ADD for auditions sometimes, because you could just be as free as you wanted to be and be in that moment and all those wonderful things that they really want to see. I mean, ADD doesn't have to be baggage. It can be a real celebration. That's the way I take it now. It's like, this is my gift in this industry, is that I can think on the spot and see a bunch of different choices to make as opposed to just one. So once I found that out, I started to celebrate the things that I can do stronger, as opposed to backing away thinking, oh, I'm showing off, I shouldn't do that. No, this is what they want. This is what they need me to do, be this guy at the moment. Stage fright went away. I can suddenly realize, no, they need somebody to be in charge in this stage. They want me to be that guy. Be that guy. So those type of things, instead of backing away, I started to lean into. The ADD is a very personal travel choice for everybody. To figure out what your destination will be, what are your goals specifically for ADHD. It's a long journey, and it's an ongoing journey, and it's a wonderful friend to have with you, as long as you know that your friend can get out of control every now and then. He's a good car companion.